Hi everyone, Tom Wolf here. In this video I'll be deconstructing the preset A New Kingdom from my sound bank Australis for Omnisphere. Now the reason I've chosen to deconstruct this particular preset is because it's created entirely from sine waves, and sine waves are often overlooked as a waveform and used more as a utility, such as for sub-oscillators, and this is because other waveforms have a lot more rich harmonic content, and when you start chiseling away at that with filters you can get much more interesting and rich sounds. But I'm a big believer that sine waves are an incredibly important and beautiful waveform that you can use to create some really nice delicate sounds. So this particular preset is a pad that's got this really kind of pure glassy quality to it. Let's have a look at how to create it. So we're going to start with layer A, and you can see here we've got the synth engine loaded and we've got a sine wave in it. Now this is just the basic sine wave from Omnisphere. Of course in the classic waveform section you've got a whole bunch of other sine waves. These tend to be slightly more coloured. Obviously they're still sine waves, so not much. But this particular basic sine wave here is just a pure bread and butter sine wave. You'll also notice we've got the pitch transposed up an octave here, and to get the pad sound I've used the amp envelopes to shape it, so you can see we've got a nice long attack, full sustain, and then quite a slow release as well. So the release is just over 2 seconds there, and our attack is about 4.5 seconds. So that gives us a nice slow sine wave sound there. I'm then going to turn on the unison engine. So in the unison engine, what we've got this set to is we've got it set to -1 octave. So because we've got the waveform set up an octave, this is then going to be playing an octave below that. So that gives us this kind of sound. So that fattens our waveform up quite a lot. We've still got that kind of octave overtone, but then we've got the unison where we're kind of multiplying the amount of sine waves that are being used in it, detuned an octave. So that is actually creating this nice warm depth to the sound. We've got the detune for the unison engine set quite low, so that's 0.050. If we use too much of this, it just gets a little bit too warbly for my taste. So this is just to kind of thicken it slightly. We've got the spread set all the way to the top, so a maximum amount, so that gives us a nice wide stereo image. And then we've got the depth set to just over halfway, 0.571 there. We'll also come out and we've got a little bit of filtering here. So we've got the filter set to a high pass UVI filter. We've not got any kind of envelope shaping going on here, so that is turned completely off. We've got the key follow set to halfway. There's no resonance on this particular filter. And then we've got the cutoff set quite low, so that's set to 0.075. So that is just taking out some of that low end there. So we're just kind of fattening up the sound a little bit there. And we've already got that really delicate, glassy sine wave kind of sound. This is then being run through a single instance of the tube limiter. So the tube limiter, because it's modeled on analog tube limiters, it gives it just this tiny little bit of grit to the sound. It just gives it a small amount of saturation, which warms it up slightly. So when we're working with sine waves which have got such a pure sound quality to them, it can be nice just to add just a tiny little edge. So it's giving us a really nice kind of subtle warming to the sound there. So let's come over to layer B and we'll switch off layer A for now. So on layer B, we've got it set to synth engine again, and we've also got it set to the basic sine wave. We've still got it transposed up an octave, and we have got the same amp envelope shape here as well, so we've got the same kind of pad shape to this particular layer. So this is then running through the Granular engine. So we'll switch that on and we'll open this up. Now we've got the Granular engine set to speed and we've got it set to 6.35 here. So we're actually going to be getting some kind of reversed grains here too. The main thing about this is kind of going to create a shimmer sound over the top of the other sine wave. And to get that shimmer sound, we have to set it into wild mode and we want the direction to be up. Now, I've done a separate tutorial on this particular technique, so if you want to dive into it a little bit more, then have a look on my channel and you'll be able to find that. We've also got our pitch grains turned up to about half so that we can hear that pitching sound, and we've got the interval set to 12 semitones so we get a full octave pitching there. I've also got gliding set to off because we don't want it to glide between the pitch of the oscillator and the octave up of the Granular engine. But because we're in wild mode, what it's going to do is it's essentially going to kind of cycle through octaves. So we get this really kind of delicate harmonics on this particular sound. So you've also got the grain depth set quite high, so that's set to 0.765. We've got the intensity very low and we've got smoothing quite high up here as well. And we don't have any detuning on the grains. So this is giving us a really kind of pure sound here. So this then runs through our filter. So we've got the filter set to a basic 12 dB low pass. Once again, we're not shaping it with our envelope at all. We've got the key follow set to halfway. We've got no resonance on there. And then again, we've got our cutoff set rather low. So we're going to get quite a dark sound now. Let's turn that up a bit. So we're really kind of darkening off those octave overtones that we're getting from the Granular engine, because although they're really nice, we don't want it to be too overpowering. We still want to get the kind of pure pad sound from our original sine wave, and this is just going to kind of add a little bit over the top. So we're just shaping that with our filter. This is then running into the effects, and again we've got the tube limiter on here just to give it a little bit of saturation. We've also got the Proverb. Now the Proverb mix, as you can see, is set to 100% wet, so we're not getting any dry signal from this particular layer. We've got the time set all the way to 20,000 milliseconds there. We've got the size set to 40. We've got the density set all the way up. And we've also got the diffusion and the width set all the way to the top as well. So this is essentially going to give us a shimmer style reverb. So we've got that entire kind of octave pitching completely immersed in reverb to give us this really delicate, gentle, ambient sound. So if we now add in layer A again, and we can hear we've now got this kind of depth to the pad which is coming from layer A, this really kind of pure glassy sound, and then we've got this kind of shimmering octave overtone from the completely wet layer B signal here, which is being pitched up with our Granular engine. So we can now look at our effects. So if we have a look at the common effects here, all we've really got here is the precision comp, so this is kind of gluing it together a little bit. We don't really need to worry about toxic because I've got toxic set on the orb, so that just kind of gives us a bit of grit when we use the orb there. And then we've got the imager to give us a kind of tremolo on the mod wheel. There we go, a nice kind of rhythmic tremolo there. And then over on our aux engine, so we'll turn the aux return up. You can see we're sending it from our common effects section here. We've got that set to 0.5. And then we've got this turned all the way up. And what we've got here is essentially a really nice kind of warm reverb across the whole thing. So we've got the chorus echo on here. We've got the mix set to just over 50%. Delay is set to just over 1 second. We've got a moderately long feedback here, just under 40%, and we've got a little bit of chorusing going on here. So the depth is set to just over 20 and the rate is set to 0.27 hertz. We've also got it set to echo mode, so this is essentially a kind of space echo delay that we're going to get here. And then this is feeding into our proverb, which again, the mix is 100% wet. We've got quite a big size on it, very long reverb time, density is all the way up, diffusion is all the way up, width all the way up. So that gives us a nice washy reverb. So the end result is this really beautiful, pure, glassy ambient pad. And this is created just by running some sine waves through a creative effects such as Unison and the Granular engine. And it just goes to show that using sine waves to create sounds can be really fucking beautiful, and there is a lot of uses for sine waves other than just utilities. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to check out more of the sounds from Australis, then you'll find a link in the description. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe and ding the bell so you can be notified of my next video. Until next time, take care.